Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, yes, I'm going to use that when we peel them.
Yeah.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me today. I'm so excited to have you here. So my name is Sarah Schlichter. I am a registered dietitian with my master's in public health, and I am the dietitian for North Carolina Sweet Potatoes. I currently live in Maryland, about an hour outside of Washington, D.C. So I moved up here last summer. Prior to this, I spent 10 plus years in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, which is actually how I became introduced to North Carolina sweet potatoes. I did a tour, saw how sweet potatoes are grown, and we've stayed in touch ever since. And it's safe to say that my toddler is hiding over here, but we are all sweet potato fanatics in this house, from my husband and I to my 2-year-old to our dog, whose name is Tater. She loves sweet potatoes as well. So today I wanted to hop on to talk about why sweet potatoes are such a great pantry staple, especially during these times that we're in right now. Why they're a great family food option, some things about their nutrition content and their versatility. So this is Cameron. She's 2. Do you want to say hi to everyone?
Hello.
She's going to be my helper today. So I also just want to share that including kids in cooking and preparing sweet potatoes is a great way to not only teach them about different foods, but also expand their palates and get them curious about trying new foods. So Cameron will hopefully behave, and she is going to help us throughout this process. So like I said, we're going to talk about their versatility, their nutrition content. We are going to make a recipe live. We're going to make some sweet potato turkey meatballs. We're going to show you how easy it is to do that. And we're also going to introduce a fun contest. So I want to talk to you a little bit about this contest. And the purpose is to encourage you to cook with sweet potatoes over the next few weeks. So we want to see what you're making, whether you're making sweet potato fries or you're adding them to your salad, or you're making a recipe on our website, or you're making something of your own. If you make anything with sweet potatoes over the next few weeks, we want you to post a picture of it on social media and use the hashtag Sweet Potato Pantry Challenge. All lowercase, no spaces. Once we have those, we'll be able to look through them and pick a winner. The winner is going to receive a swag bag of sweet potato things. It'll probably be some kitchen utensils. As you can see, this is a sweet potato cutting board, so we have a lot of fun cooking-related items. We have some attire that you can probably receive. It's sort of a surprise what you're going to get, but all of this is free, so we really want to encourage you to participate and take action. Show us those sweet potato recipes you're making. If you haven't yet checked out the North Carolina Sweet Potato site, it is ncsweetpotatoes.com. There is a recipe tab on there. You can click on that tab and get so much inspiration for your recipes, from appetizers to those that are categorized as gluten-free, to vegans, to sweets and desserts, to beverages, kid-friendly options, everything like that. There are plenty of options to hopefully inspire you. But like I said, if you have your own recipe that you want to share, we would love to see that too. Okay, so before we get started, yes, do you want to tell everyone what we're making today?
Sweet potatoes.
Sweet potatoes, that's right. And
Sweet potatoes.
are we going to make them into meatballs? Are you going to help me mix?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Before we actually make the meatballs, I just want to talk a little bit about the versatility of sweet potatoes and different ways to prepare them. So I read a statistic lately that up to 20% of young adults feel intimidated with cooking sweet potatoes in the kitchen. So that is one of the main purposes I want to address here and really show you how easy it can be to cook with sweet potatoes. First of all, they have a long shelf life. So sweet potatoes, if stored properly, which would entail in a dry, cool, well-ventilated space, can last up to 2 weeks. So these are great pantry items to keep on hand right now because they're going to be shelf stable and you can use them in so many ways. Whether you choose to bake them, you can saute them on the stove, you can toss them on the grill. The weather's warming up, so there's a lot of opportunities for grilling. You can even toss them in the microwave, which a lot of people don't realize, but if you take a sweet potato and you pierce it 4 to 5 times with a fork, put it in the microwave for 6 to 8 minutes, that is a really quick way to cook sweet potatoes and have them for a weeknight meal, or if you're really hungry and need something quick, that's our favorite method of preparing them. Sweet potatoes also pair well with so many things, from meat dishes like we're going to make today with our turkey meatballs, to plant-based dishes like a chili, or throwing them on a salad with grains like farro or brown rice or something like that, to pairing well with vegetables and fruits if you're making a hummus, or we have, I believe, a sweet potato cookie dough dip on the site that is like a sweeter, healthy cookie hummus option, to having them for dessert. So sweet potatoes have no added sugar in them, but they are a sweeter option. So we're going to talk a little bit about why they are great for diabetes and heart health shortly. Hi, Marilyn, and hi, Michelle. I'm so glad to have you here. Thanks for tuning in. If you guys, cauliflower, that's right. Cameron's just eating lunch here. I hope that's okay. My little helper has to stay energized. So if you guys have any questions, just feel free to put them in the chat box. I'm going to be checking that periodically. Okay, so where was I? We were talking about the versatility of sweet potatoes. One reason I love them is that they appeal to all age groups, right? If you have little ones, if you have babies and you're thinking about starting solids, sweet potatoes can be mashed easily for spoon feeding. Or if you're doing baby-led weaning, you can cut them into fry shape where babies can pick them up on their own and feed themselves. So they're great for babies. They're great for toddlers. You can throw them in muffins, breads, waffles, pancakes, different baked goods like that, making them very easy to increase the nutritional content of a recipe. You can also add them to hummus. You can add them to smoothies. You can make them in dips. There is just so much versatility you can do with them. And again, check out ncsweetpotatoes.com. Just go under the recipe tab, and you can see a lot of different recipes there. So hopefully that addresses the intimidation concern, because I really think that sweet potatoes are one of few foods that you can use in breakfast, lunch, or dinner, and they can cook quickly and easily. And if you need a meal in under 20 minutes, you can have one. A little bit about their nutrition content. So sweet potatoes are high. Do you want to hold the sweet potato for me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. We're going to mix it in a little bit, okay?
Yeah.
Sweet potatoes are high in vitamins A and C, which are very pertinent this time of year because they are immune boosting nutrients. So during flu season in the winter, they're important to include, but actually throughout the year, you want to keep your immunity strong, and you need vitamins A and C, both of which are antioxidants, to help with that. Vitamins A and C also help with skin health, and vitamin A can play a role in maintaining strong vision, which is one thing we talked to my toddler about, how sweet potatoes can help your eyes. So those are some of the nutritional benefits there. You're also going to get micronutrients like potassium, magnesium, small amounts of calcium, vitamin B6, and fiber. So fiber you'll find between 3 to 5 grams in a medium sweet potato. That's assuming you're consuming the skin, which is a great source of fiber. And that fiber is important in not only helping you feel full, but also stabilizing your blood sugar. So sweet potatoes are actually a superfood for diabetes, and this came from the American Diabetes Association because of their fiber content, because of their lower glycemic index, meaning it takes longer for them to release into your blood sugar, and because of their antioxidant content. So for those reasons, sweet potatoes are great for all populations to include into their diet. Okay, do you want to help me get started with the recipe? Okay, thank you. All right, so let's get started with the sweet potato turkey meatballs. This recipe is on our website, like I mentioned. From start to finish, it takes about 40 minutes. You want to help me with that? Okay, here, I'm going to give you a spoon and you can stir. So one way that I like to include Cameron in these recipes is letting her stir. So there are different age-appropriate things you can do for your kids. For example, if you have older kids, they may be able to help you shape the meatballs. If you, they may be able to put them in the oven. Cameron, I don't want her to touch any of the raw meat, but she is great at mixing ingredients. So that's what I have my toddler do. You mix? Okay. So we touch the spoon in the raw meat, so I'm going to give her a new spoon. There you go. If you can start mixing, I'm just going to check in with the comments here. Hi, Mary from North Carolina. Hi, Lisa. Oh, I'm so happy to be doing this. I will be available after. Hello, Maryland. And Diane. Oh, thank you. My daughter is beautiful. Thank you so much. Yes, they are great for diabetes. Like I mentioned, because of their lower glycemic index, their fiber content. So fiber is a really important nutrient for diabetes because it helps stabilize blood sugar. So for diabetes, we don't want the highs or the lows. We want to keep it stable. I would also recommend just pairing sweet potatoes with protein and healthy fats for a balanced meal, which we are doing today, because all of those nutrients together are going to help stabilize the blood sugar. But yes, you may have heard myths that sweet potatoes are going to spike your blood sugar and you can't have them with diabetes, but that is not the case. They are very diabetes friendly and they certainly fit into a healthy lifestyle. They're also great for heart health because they are cholesterol free, they are fat free, there's no saturated fat, and they have potassium in them. So potassium is a very important electrolyte and nutrient for heart health. And there are plenty of other ways to season your sweet potatoes without just using salt or sodium. Today we're using some cinnamon and paprika. You can use chili powder. You can use herbs and spices, a good quality olive oil. So things like that, if you are trying to monitor your sodium intake, there are different ways to season those. Hey, sweetie, I just need you to, can you keep stirring for me? Thank you. Okay, so we're gonna start with the recipe. The oven is preheated to 400, and we're going to coat a mini muffin tin with cooking spray. So I think Cameron had to temporarily regroup for a minute, so hopefully she'll be back. Okay, so we're gonna start by shredding the sweet potatoes. I'm gonna put this down so you can see what I'm doing. So I started shredding it a little bit just to save some time. But the way you shred a sweet potato is, I am using just a cheese grater. This is an OXO one. And I'm using the side with the bigger circles on it. You always want to keep one hand on top because this can be dangerous and sharp. And here's what I started. You just simply go up and down. So we need 2 cups of shredded sweet potatoes. So I believe I've done 1 cup. So we're going to shred this other cup in here. Now, other ways that you can use this sweet potato shreds, if you're making like a hash, for hash browns, anything like that, you can throw these into pancakes, waffles, muffins. Again, it's a great way to enhance the nutrition content of a meal, but also get more fiber, and sometimes it makes them a pretty orange color too. Now you could peel your sweet potatoes beforehand if you wanted to. So for example, if I wanted to peel the skin off before shredding, I would just use a peeler and do that. However, I like to include the skin because, like I mentioned earlier, it's where most of the fiber is. There's actually plenty of nutrients in the skin, and especially since we're shredding it so thinly, I don't think it's going to change the taste or texture really of these meatballs. But if that's a personal preference and you wanted to do that, you certainly could. Okay, so that's just about our 2 cups of shredded sweet potatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and add that to our bowl. Our next ingredient is 1/2 cup of chopped pecans. Now here's a substitution you can make with this. So I actually have a nut allergy, so I'm not going to be using pecans, but I do have some breadcrumbs. If you are gluten-free, you can find gluten-free breadcrumbs. I am not gluten-free, but I happen to have some on hand. So we're going to add 1/2 cup of breadcrumbs. And again, if you don't have pecans on hand, you could use crushed almonds, you could use cashews, you could use peanuts, anything like that. What the function of that here is just to help hold things together, and it's going to give the meatballs a little bit more of a sturdy appearance. So we're also going to use a tablespoon of coconut oil. You could also use butter or olive oil. I just happen to have this big tub on hand. Now, if this was really solid, I might melt the coconut oil a little bit, but this is pretty room temperature, so I feel comfortable that just the texture that it is going to be fine for this. We are also going to add a clove of grated garlic. So if you don't have garlic cloves, minced garlic is great. Again, it's okay to take shortcuts, especially right now. So I believe half a teaspoon of minced garlic is equivalent to a garlic clove. So we're going to go ahead and throw that in there. And then the spices we're using, I've already pre-mixed them to save time, but we are using a teaspoon of paprika, a quarter teaspoon of cinnamon, and a half teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw these in there. Now, if you like things spicier or you wanted to add chili powder or anything like that, feel free. The last thing we're going to add is the ground turkey. So once we have all of this mixed in, we're going to go ahead and add, like I said, I'm using ground beef here since that's what was available at the store, but you can use ground turkey, you can use ground chicken. All of that will suffice. I'm always very careful to keep raw meat separate from everything else. So you always want to make sure, obviously, that if you're touching raw meat, you're not then using your hand right away to touch anything else. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and mix this meatball batter together. So I would recommend using your hands because you're actually going to be able to kind of mix it more evenly that way. So I'm just going to kind of knead it, flip it over a few times, make sure that the shredded sweet potato gets mixed in really well with this ground beef. And while I'm doing that, I'm just going to check in and see if you guys have any questions. Looks like we have another team member answering and being present on that list too. So if there's something that I miss or don't get to, we can probably answer it there. There will be a replay of this video available. I think I read we're going to post it to YouTube. It usually stays on the Facebook page too. So if you tuned in late or you didn't catch it or you want to watch it again later, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay. So once we have it mixed, we are going to just go ahead and put it in this mini muffin pan. Now, if you don't have mini muffin tins, you can just use a regular baking sheet. You can just form them into little, I would say a tablespoon shaped ball, and just place them like an inch or so or half an inch or so apart on your baking sheet. So again, I'm still going to continue to use my hands for this and just put them, I'm just going to line them up in this mini baking sheet. I also do have a cookie scooper. I found that it's easier to just use my hands, but again, you can just make do with what's in your kitchen. And another reason that I love sweet potatoes, the reasons are ongoing, but I am a big runner, and sweet potatoes are a great food for athletes or active individuals. So part of that is due to their carbohydrate content. So obviously carbohydrates are the energy that you need for exercise, especially endurance exercise. But they also have antioxidants, which can help with reducing inflammation. It can help with recovery. And then in the large scheme of things, antioxidants can help reduce your risk of chronic disease. So there's a lot of research showing that it may help with cancer, showing that it can help with heart disease, things like that. It's not obviously a cure or anything like that, but it is just an attempt you can include in your healthy diet just to kind of improve your health. So I like knowing that I'm getting carbohydrates before or after a workout with sweet potatoes. I'm getting antioxidants to help jumpstart that recovery process and help minimize some of the inflammation that happens after exercise. And I'm getting some other nutrients like fiber and important vitamins and potassium too. Potassium is an important electrolyte I mentioned for heart health, but it's also an electrolyte that we lose in our sweat during exercise. So replenishing that through foods is a great option. Now, on a hot day of exercise, or if you're a salty sweater, you might actually want to add some sodium to your sweet potatoes because that's going to help you stay hydrated and minimize your sodium losses. So again, it can be very personalized to your nutrition needs, whether you're someone who needs to decrease your sodium intake or just be weary of it, or you're someone who needs to increase it. Sweet potatoes can be a great platform for both. I have my dog down here who smells this raw meat. Her name is Tater, actually, after potatoes, and she wants some of it. Okay, so it looks like I'm gonna have enough to probably fill another one of these after. So what I'm probably gonna do is freeze some of these for later. So that's another great thing. If you make meatballs, you make this recipe, you can freeze, once you cook it, you can freeze it for later and use it in the future, and your future self will thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna go ahead and toss this in the oven. So you put them in for 30 minutes. So they're gonna cook, but we are gonna do a switcheroo like they do in the cooking shows and pretend that we just took them out of the oven. So this is a previous batch I made. And again, this is just on a baking sheet. So if you don't have that muffin pan, you can put them on a baking sheet. So let's pretend we just took them out. They smell wonderful. The next step is to heat up a little bit of barbecue sauce, and we're gonna coat them in barbecue sauce, and then they're ready to eat. So one more substitution you can make with this recipe. I bought store-bought barbecue sauce. You can make your own if you're someone who is trying to decrease the sugar in your diet or just monitor your sugar intake. You don't need to use barbecue sauce. You can dip your meatballs in another sauce or condiment, or just eat them as is. We ate some last night and they were pretty delicious on their own. But to heat up the barbecue sauce, I'm just going to put a little bit in a pan over low heat. And then once that heats up, I'm just going to put some of the meatballs in that, and then we're done. So as you can see, that's a really simple recipe. We did obviously fast forward the cooking time, so it will be in the oven for 30 minutes, but you can have it ready from start to finish in 40 minutes if you include the prep time. So these meatballs, these would be great on their own. You can serve them over a salad or over a whole grain like rice or farro or quinoa. You can mix them in with pasta. I've even put them on a roll before, so if you have a sub roll, you can add the meatballs there. You can eat them on their own. They can be a great snack. They're portable. Little ones can hold them. You can just pop them in your mouth. So that is just one example of sweet potatoes versatility. And like I mentioned, you can freeze them too for the future. So if you make a bunch of batches at once and you want to freeze them for a few months, that should help. So I hope that gives you an idea of how easy sweet potatoes can be to cook with. I hope you understand a little bit more about their nutrition content. And we talked about some of the substitutions you can make here based on what you have on hand right now. I think the main takeaway is that there's so much you can do with sweet potatoes. Obviously, and don't underestimate them as a pantry staple. They are widely available right now in the grocery stores, and they have a long shelf life, so they can be a great quarantine food. Also, just to review the contest stipulations again. So we want to encourage you to post your pictures with sweet potatoes. So maybe you make this recipe, the sweet potato turkey meatballs, or you make another recipe from our website, ncsweetpotatoes.com. Again, there's a whole recipe tab. Take a picture of what you make. We want to see it. Use the hashtag Sweet Potato Pantry Challenge. And on May 15th, we will close this contest and look at entries and choose a winner. And again, the winner will receive a swag bag of sweet potato items and memorabilia, some cooking things, maybe some attire. There's lots of fun stuff to be had. So get started. We really look forward to seeing what you guys can create in the kitchen. And I'm going to take a look over these questions one more time. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. And I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that you enjoyed this presentation and this cooking demo. And I'm actually really excited to eat these. I'm going to put them in the barbecue sauce right now. Okay. Looking back over questions, will the recipe be posted on Facebook? Yes, Lisa, we will certainly put the link to it. Thank you for the information. Next trip to the store, they're mine. Great. Diane, I really hope I've motivated you to buy more sweet potatoes and use them because they have so many uses. Jesse asked, did I peel the skin first? I did not, but if you want to peel the skin, like I mentioned, you can just use a peeler and peel it before you shred the sweet potatoes. That's sort of a personal preference. I like the skin, but if you're someone who doesn't want to touch the skin or doesn't want that texture, you can definitely peel them first. Okay, well, I'm so happy that so many of you tuned in. Thank you so much for your engagement. If I missed any questions, I will add some comments to the feed after. Again, this will be available for replay whenever you want to see it. And we have a YouTube channel that we're going to upload it to. Check out ncsweetpotatoes.com. There's a recipe tab. There's lots of inspiration there. There's also plenty of information on the nutrition content, how sweet potatoes are grown. There's 52 ways you can use sweet potatoes on there. So there's a plethora of information. And thanks again for tuning in. Again, my name is Sarah Schlichter. I am a dietitian. My blog website is bucketlisttummy.com. And I post a lot of healthy recipes there. Many of them include sweet potatoes. I also talk about healthy active tips for runners and other endurance individuals. And I talk a little bit about just general nutrition there. So I'm going to sign off now. Thank you for spending your afternoon with me, and I hope you have a great day. Make sure you take pictures of those sweet potato recipes. Use the hashtag Sweet Potato Pantry Challenge, and we look forward to seeing all of the entries. We will choose our winner after the contest closes on May 15th. So good luck, happy eating, and I'll talk to you soon.